My brother planned his barbecue party on my wedding anniversary day, and my wife chose to attend his instead. I told the guards not to let anyone in late. A few hours later, my wife and brother showed up in the same damn car, laughing like they just got back from a comedy show. Her lipstick was smudged. His shirt was inside out. I wasn't blind. I just didn't want to believe my own eyes. Let me rewind a second. It was our 5th anniversary. 5 years of building a life, paying the mortgage, fixing her mom's leaky sink, making her breakfast when she was hungover, holding her hair when she puked after too many cocktails. 5 years of loyalty. And she picked a barbecue over me. Not just any barbecue, my brother's. I told her the night before, Jessica, please, just tonight. No parties. Just us. Dinner, wine, maybe a movie like we used to. Remember that? She rolled her eyes like I was some pathetic dog begging for scraps. Jake, it's just a barbecue, she said, packing her bag like she was heading to war. I'll be back before midnight. No one gets in after 9. I warned the security guys at the gate of our estate. Not even her. It was 11:43 p.m. when they pulled up. I was still awake, pacing by the window like a fool waiting for a train that ain't coming. I had wine chilling, steak getting cold, candles already burned down. All that was left was the fire in my gut. The kind of fire that doesn't warm you. The kind that eats you alive. She stepped out of the car first, barefoot. He followed, smelling like cologne, smoke, and something else I couldn't name but knew too well. My wife, Jessica, she had the audacity to grin. That cold, smug grin of someone who thought I'd always stay. Hey, babe, she said like nothing was wrong. You're still up? I didn't answer. Just watch my brother, Brandon, fix his shirt like he was straightening out the damage. I told the guards, don't let anyone in after 9, and yet here she was, with him. Laughing, glowing, and barefoot? You're late, I said. She shrugged. Time got away from us. I took a step forward, my hands clenched at my sides. You were gone for 8 hours. We were playing poker, Brandon chimed in, flashing that same dumb smile he used when we were kids, and he broke my Game Boy. Just got lucky. I looked at her feet. Where are your heels? In his trunk, she said, like it was a joke. They were hurting my feet. Okay? But that's when it hit me. Her lipstick, smeared like it had been wiped off in a hurry. Her hair, not messy from the wind, but from someone's hands. Her neck, a small red mark, barely visible, unless you were trained to see it, like a soldier spotting danger in the dark. You didn't even call, I said. My voice cracked, and I hated myself for it. You didn't even think to say happy anniversary. Jessica rolled her eyes and groaned. Oh my God, Jake, are we really doing this right now? It's just a date on a calendar. Chill out. That's when I laughed. A dry, broken kind of laugh. A date on a calendar? It's the date we vowed forever. Brandon stepped in, putting his hands up. Look, man, you're overreacting. I looked at him. Really looked. His collar was stained. His fly was zipped, but off-center. And his eyes, they couldn't meet mine. My hand twitched. Not toward violence. I'm not that kind of guy, but toward truth. Toward pulling off the blindfold I'd been wearing for months. I want to see your phone, I told her. Jessica froze. Excuse me. Your phone. She laughed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. You don't trust me now? Not anymore, I said. Brandon coughed. Awkward. This is getting weird. I should probably... Don't move, I snapped. Jessica pulled her phone from her purse, but before I could grab it, she pressed the power button. Screen black. Oops. Dead battery. I didn't even blink. Cool. I'll charge it. She jerked it back. You're being a freak, Jake. That's when I knew. Not guessed. Not suspected. Knew. Something in me cracked. I turned to the guards. No one leaves till I say so. Jessica laughed again, but it wasn't nervous. It was cruel. You're gonna hold us hostage now? You held my heart hostage for 5 years, I said. Silence. The kind that wraps around your throat. She threw the phone at my chest. Go ahead. Be a psycho. Dig through texts. Stalk my photos. You'll just find out what you've been too blind to see. Brandon took a step back. I caught the phone, and I swear to God, in that moment, I wasn't sure what I'd find. But I knew it would burn. I walked inside without a word, gripping her phone like it held the answers to everything. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage, so tightly coiled it felt like my muscles would snap. I plugged it in at the kitchen counter. Jessica stood at the door, arms crossed, already rehearsing whatever performance she had planned. Are we seriously doing this? She called out, voice echoing through the house. You think something's going on with me and Brandon? That's sick. I didn't answer. I stared at the phone screen, waiting for it to light up. When it finally buzzed to life, the wallpaper was a photo of our dog, Winston. Not us. Not anything close to a memory we'd shared. Just Winston. She hadn't changed that photo in almost a year. The notifications started rolling in. Messages. Snapchat. Instagram DMs. I opened the messaging app first. I didn't even have to scroll far. There it was. Brandon, last night was wild. I still smell you on me. Jessica, don't wash it off. Let him smell it when he hugs you. I wanted to know. I dropped the phone. It clattered against the granite countertop. Jessica stepped forward, saw the screen, and for the first time, the smirk slid off her face. You shouldn't have seen that. That's what she said. Not, I'm sorry. Not, it's not what you think. Just, you shouldn't have seen that. Like I was the intruder, the villain, the one who crossed a line. You planned this. I asked, voice raw. You've been. How long has it been going on? She rolled her eyes and leaned against the doorframe like she was bored of this already. Does it matter? You and I haven't really been US for a while. I just stopped pretending. I stared at her, stunned. He's my brother. Yeah, and? That was her response. Yeah, and? Brandon finally stepped in, dragging his feet like a guilty kid. Jake, listen, man. It started after that night we got drunk at the lake house. You passed out, Jess and I were talking, and you touched her while I was asleep upstairs? I hissed. In my house? Don't be so dramatic, Jessica cut in. It wasn't like that. We had a connection. You were always so predictable. My vision blurred. I turned away, gripping the edge of the counter until my knuckles went white. Predictable? That's what I was? Predictable because I loved her? Because I trusted my own brother? You knew today was our anniversary, I whispered. And you still showed up with him. Laughing. She didn't flinch. You forgot my birthday last year. That's not the same. To me it is. Brandon looked like he wanted to vanish. I didn't mean for it to go this far, bro. I swear. Don't call me that, I said. Jessica scoffed. So what? You're gonna cry now? Be the poor betrayed husband while the world feels sorry for you. No, I said, straightening. I'm gonna pack your things. She blinked. I'm done, I said, stepping closer, looking her dead in the eye. You're not my wife anymore. You're just a lying woman who used me. And you, I looked at Brandon, who couldn't meet my gaze. You're dead to me. Jessica sneered. You think this makes you strong? You're just proving why I left in the first place. No, I said calmly. You left because you never deserved me. She laughed. Keep telling yourself that. She turned to walk out. Leave the keys, I said. That stopped her. I'm serious. Leave them. You're not coming back here. Where am I supposed to go? Ask your new boyfriend. She glanced at Brandon. He looked pale. I followed them both to the door. She tossed the keys into the grass. I hope you rot in this sad little palace. I didn't respond. I just watched them go. Him in the driver's seat. Her laughing again like it was all just a game she'd won. But it wasn't over. Because 10 minutes later, she texted me from a burner number. You think you've seen everything? That was just the surface. And suddenly, the betrayal wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing I hadn't hit bottom yet. It was still coming. The next morning, I didn't sleep. I just sat in the living room, staring at nothing, hearing the echo of her laugh over and over. That smug little sound like she knew something I didn't, and maybe she did. I replayed every moment from the last few months, trying to spot the signs I missed. They were all there. I just didn't want to see them. The late nights at work. The sudden phone guarding obsession. The way she flinched when I touched her. Not scared, guilty. She had checked out long ago. And while I was busy trying to fix our marriage, she was off playing house with my own blood. My phone buzzed again. Another message from that burner number. You should check the garage camera. I bolted upright. We had 3 cameras. Front gate, living room, garage. All synced to the cloud. I hadn't looked at them in weeks. Never needed to. We lived in a gated community. Safe as it gets. I opened the app. Skimmed through the feed. It took less than a minute to find it. Timestamp. 2 weeks ago. Wednesday. I was at a conference in Dallas. The feed flickered, and then, there it was. My garage door opening at 1:07 a.m. Jessica stepping in, heels in her hand. Brandon following behind her. Drunk. Laughing. Pulling her in like they were teenagers sneaking around their parents. Right there in my car. My driver's seat. She climbed on top of him, and I shut it off. My hands were ice cold. My skin felt like it didn't belong to me. I stood up and punched the wall so hard I felt something crack in my knuckle. I didn't care. The pain was real. Everything else felt fake. She'd been in our home. With him. Over and over. Using me like a wallet and a doormat. There was a knock at the door. I wiped my face, not even realizing I'd been crying. It was my mother. She came in before I could say anything, holding a pan of food and a look of confusion. You okay? I heard something happened last night at the gate. The guards called. I didn't even know where to start. I just handed her the phone, opened the messages, showed her the video. She sat down in stunned silence, mouth slightly open, staring at the screen like it was a horror film. That's Brandon, she whispered. I nodded. Her face crumpled in disbelief. Oh my God. Jake. She reached out to touch my arm, and I pulled back. I couldn't be touched. Not yet. I felt poisoned. I need them gone. Both of them. Forever. I understand, she said quietly. Later that day, I called my lawyer. Told him everything. He didn't even flinch, probably seen worse. You've got leverage, he said. Especially with that video. Infidelity and invasion of property. I don't care about the legal part, I said. I just want her out. And I want my brother nowhere near me again. We started drafting the divorce paperwork that evening. But Jessica? She wasn't done playing her games. That night, I got another text. You're not going to survive without me. I stared at the words for a long time, then deleted the message. But her next move wasn't through text. It was through Brandon. He came to my office the next day like nothing happened. No warning. Just walked in, grinning like we were still brothers. Man, you're blowing this out of proportion. Jess said you're spiraling. I stood up and walked around the desk. Get out. You don't want to talk this through? I don't want to breathe the same air as you. He looked confused, offended even. Dude, it wasn't some grand betrayal. We were just vibing. You and Jess have been dead for years. Then why didn't you tell me? I stepped closer. Why sneak around? If you really believe that, why not say it to my face? He swallowed. I didn't want to hurt you. UF** kid my wife in my car. He flinched. That's not a mistake, Brandon. That's a war. He didn't say anything after that. Just turned around and walked out. I watched him go. And I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was past that. Now, I was planning. Because she wanted to destroy me? Fine. She could try. But I wasn't going down alone. The next few days moved in slow motion. Everything felt louder. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge, the silence in our bedroom. Her perfume still lingered on the sheets like it had the right to be there. I couldn't sleep in that bed anymore. I started crashing on the couch, waking up sore, bitter, but focused. My lawyer had set everything in motion. Divorce proceedings, a restraining order to keep Brandon off the property, and a freeze on our joint accounts. I drained them into a separate holding account, legally, of course, just to keep her from pulling something stupid. But stupid was her specialty. She showed up 2 days later. No warning. Just banged on the door like the place still belonged to her. I opened it. She looked like she hadn't slept. Hoodie, messy hair, sunglasses like that could hide the venom in her eyes. I want my stuff. I didn't even blink. You left it. That's abandonment. Legally, I don't have to let you in. Don't be an ass, Jake. You don't get to call me names. Not after what you did. She took off her sunglasses and looked me dead in the eyes. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I just want to come in, grab a few things, and leave. I leaned on the doorframe. Why not send Brandon to do it? She scoffed. Don't be dramatic. I stared at her. I watched the garage footage. She flinched, just for a second. You spying on me now? You made a porno in my car and had the nerve to tell me I was predictable. Her face hardened. You were. I was loyal, I said. You were disgusting. She crossed her arms. You think you're better than me? No, I said. I know I am. She stepped closer. You think anyone's gonna love you after this? After what you've become? You mean a man who refuses to be played by a cheating liar and a backstabbing brother? I'll take those odds. I made this house a home. You turned it into a set for your lies. She stared at me for a long time, like she was trying to find the right button to push. Then she leaned in and whispered, You think Brandon was the only one? That did it. I shut the door in her face. And I heard her laugh. On the other side. Like it was all a joke. Then she kicked the door and shouted, You're pathetic, Jake. Always have been. I locked the door, turned the music up, and walked away. But her words followed me like shadows down the hallway. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I went through her emails. The ones I had backup access to, she forgot to change the password. And there they were. Messages to someone named M. Not Brandon. Someone else. Talking about last weekend in the cabin and how she loved the way he took control. I felt sick. I scrolled further. There were photos. Videos. One of them showed her laughing in bed with a man whose face was half visible. It wasn't Brandon. It was our old neighbor. Mason. Married. With 2 kids. I closed the laptop and sat back. She didn't just betray me. She betrayed everyone. She was a plague with a pretty face. The next day, I emailed the evidence to Mason's wife. Then I packed every item she ever touched in the house into black bags. Her clothes, her jewelry, every perfume bottle, every photo. I threw them into the garage like garbage waiting for pickup. I changed the locks, installed new cameras, burned the sheets. Then I called my mom. I need a break, I told her. I'm going to the lake house for a few days. Good, she said softly. Get out of that place. Clean your mind. The lake house was 3 hours away. Quiet. Peaceful. But even there, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think this is over? I turned off the phone and looked out at the still water. I wasn't done breaking yet, but I was getting there. The second night at the lake house, I woke up drenched in sweat from a nightmare I couldn't fully remember, just flashes of Jessica's laugh, Brandon's smirk, the car shaking in the garage. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, stared at myself in the mirror. I looked like a ghost. Hollow eyes, cracked lips, a jaw clenched so tight it ached. I didn't even recognize the man looking back at me. The lake was silent outside. No wind. No sound. Just the soft hum of insects and the distant ripple of water against the dock. I walked out barefoot onto the porch, lit a cigarette, a habit I'd kicked 5 years ago when I married her, and took the first drag like it was medicine. The smoke stung, but it brought clarity. And clarity, I was learning, was a brutal thing. My phone was still off. I hadn't touched it in almost a day. But curiosity is a disease, and I was already infected. I turned it on. Messages flooded in. 3 from Jessica. 4 from Brandon. 1 from a private number. Jessica's were what you'd expect. We need to talk. Can we meet somewhere? Just talk like adults. You're being a child, Jake. Brandon's were worse. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean for this to happen. Can we meet? Just once. Jess is losing it, man. She's saying crazy stuff. I think she's going to do something stupid. Then the private message. Just a photo. Jessica. In a hotel room. Wearing the same necklace I gave her on our 3rd anniversary. She was sitting on the lap of some man I didn't recognize. No caption. No explanation. Just the image. She'd sent it to me herself. I dropped the phone. I wasn't even angry. I was done. She wasn't trying to win me back. She was trying to bury me under humiliation. To prove she still had power. But the thing is she didn't. I picked up the phone again, scrolled through her messages, and did something I hadn't planned to. I hit record. I called her. She picked up instantly. Jake. You're a hurricane, I said, calm as still water. You ruin everything you touch. I hope that man in the photo knows what he's bringing into his life. She was quiet. Why'd you send it? I wanted you to see who I am now. I've seen it. I thought you loved that necklace, she said. You always said it looked best on me. It did, I said. Back when you were someone worth loving. She didn't respond right away. Then she muttered, You're not the only one who's broken, Jake. No, I said. But I'm the one finally putting himself back together. I hung up and sent the recording straight to my lawyer. He called me 10 minutes later. This'll help. Trust me. I slept for the first time in a week that night. No dreams. Just darkness. When I got back home 3 days later, my mother met me with news. Jessica's been calling everyone, she said. Friends. Neighbors. Saying you're unstable. That you're making stuff up to cover your guilt. Guilt. I said, almost laughing. For what? For ruining her life. I shook my head. She ruined her own. But I knew what this was, a setup. She wanted to get ahead of the story, twist the narrative. Paint herself as the victim. The scorned, mistreated wife. Too late. I'd already forwarded the garage footage, the messages, the hotel picture, and the recorded call to 3 close mutual friends, people who'd known us for years. Her bridge was burning before she even got the gasoline. That night, I went through the old photo albums. Not digital, the real ones. The kind we used to flip through on Sundays, her head on my shoulder. Our wedding day. Her smile. My brother standing next to me as my best man. I ripped out every photo that had her face. one by one. And I didn't feel sorrow. I felt release. By the time I was done, the trash bag was full. I tied it up, walked it to the curb, and never looked back. The man who walked into that house 5 years ago? He was dead. But the man walking out now? He was just getting started. 2 weeks passed. Long, quiet, focused. I started sleeping with the windows open again. The air felt cleaner. The house quieter. No perfume on the pillows, no passive-aggressive footsteps on the stairs, no arguments about things that never mattered. I didn't hear from Jessica after that last call. But Brandon, he kept trying. He sent an email this time. Subject: from one brother to another. Jake, I know you hate me. I deserve it. I messed up bad. But Jess is unraveling. She's saying she wants to make things public, destroy you in court, claim emotional abuse. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I think she's gone off the rails. Please be careful. I read it 3 times. The last line stuck with me. Please be careful. She wasn't done. I forwarded the message to my lawyer. He called 5 minutes later. We need to file for protective measures. She might try to flip this whole thing on you. You think she'll lie under oath? I think she already is, Jake. That afternoon, we filed for a no-contact order. My lawyer moved fast, real fast, and within 48 hours, she was legally barred from coming within 50 feet of my home, my workplace, even my gym. Not that I expected her to obey it. Jessica was never big on boundaries, but it felt good to take back control, to push her out not just emotionally, but legally. Brick by brick, I was building walls she couldn't climb. Then came the bomb. I came home one night from the gym and saw a letter sticking out from under the front door. No envelope, just a folded page, handwritten. It read, "If you want to keep pretending you're the victim, fine. But remember this, I gave you every chance to keep me. You were boring, predictable, cold. You made me feel invisible. And now, I'm not invisible anymore. Everyone sees me now. Enjoy being alone. Jay." I stared at it for a long time. The handwriting was hers. Loopy, dramatic, always pressing too hard on the pen. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a threat, dressed as a final word. And it made one thing clear: she hadn't let go. I scanned it, attached it to an email to my attorney, and added a single sentence. "She left this at my door. Violation." He replied instantly. "Absolutely. I'll contact the court in the morning." The next morning, I made coffee and sat by the window as the sun came up. I watched the light pour into the living room and realized something. I hadn't cried. Not once. Not when I saw her in the car. Not when she laughed in my face. Not even when I found out there were others. I wasn't numb. I was free. She didn't break me. She exposed me to my own blindness, my own need to fix something that was already ashes. And Brandon? He was already being eaten from the inside out. I didn't need to touch him. Jess would finish him off, the same way she finished everything she got too close to. By the end of that week, I had deleted every file, every message, every picture of her from my phone. Not out of hate, out of cleansing. I donated her clothes to a shelter, boxed up her wedding ring and mailed it to her mother. I even changed the locks on my social media accounts. People reached out, offering support, gossip, some asking for my side of the story. I gave none of them the satisfaction. I was done with sides. There's peace in silence when it's earned. One night, I walked into the garage, the same place where she destroyed us, and sat in the car. Just sat. Smelled the leather. Touched the steering wheel. I closed my eyes. And in my mind, I saw the past 5 years play out in reverse. The fights. The fake apologies. The faked intimacy. The cold dinners. The excuses. The betrayal. The garage door closing behind them. And then nothing. A blank slate. I smiled. Finally. I wasn't waiting for karma anymore. I was the storm. The silence didn't last. About a month after that letter slid under my door, I got a call from my lawyer. She filed a response to the divorce petition, he said. Okay. She's contesting it. I blinked. On what grounds? She claims emotional cruelty and financial manipulation. I sat there in my car, parked outside the gym, staring at the steering wheel. The same one she used as a headrest when she crawled into my lap that night with Brandon. She's going to war, I muttered. Yes, he said, but we're ready. She was trying to flip the narrative, play the victim, twist the truth until it bent around her like armor. It made me sick. That week, deposition started. She showed up to the lawyer's office looking like a hollowed-out version of herself. Designer jacket, Oversized sunglasses, lips pursed like she was doing me a favor just being in the same room. She didn't even look at me. She spoke slowly, carefully, like she'd memorized lines from a courtroom drama. He used to control my spending. I had to ask for permission to buy groceries. Lie. He often withheld affection to punish me. Projection. I felt unsafe by the end. She smiled when she said that one. Just slightly. A little twist of her mouth like she was proud of her performance. My lawyer handed her the printed emails, the texts, the video stills. He didn't say a word, just slid them across the table like a poker hand. Her smile vanished. She didn't speak for 15 seconds. I counted. Then she said, "That's illegal." "It's admissible," he replied, calm, and time-stamped. All of it. Her lawyer looked pale, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I want a recess," he said. Jessica stood up and walked out without looking back. Her heels clicked like a countdown. We had her. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. Like I'd been running with a knife in my back, and now I could finally stop, but the blade was still there. The next morning, she called. Blocked number. I answered anyway. She didn't say hello. She just breathed into the phone for a few seconds. Then, "You think you're better than me?" "No," I said. "I think I'm free from you." Click. I stared at the phone. No anger. No fear. Just a strange, quiet calm. A few days later, I saw Brandon at the store. Alone. He looked wrecked, unshaven, gaunt, eyes dark like he hadn't slept in weeks. He didn't see me at first. He was buying beer. A lot of it. When he finally looked up, our eyes met. He froze. I didn't move. Then he walked over, slowly, dragging his guilt like chains. "Jake," he muttered. I said nothing. He looked down. "She left me." I raised an eyebrow. "Said I wasn't fun anymore," he added. "Said I was just another boring man with a wallet." He swallowed. "Sound familiar?" I nodded once. "She took my truck, my savings, even my dog." Still, I said nothing. "I know you hate me." "I don't," I replied, surprising even myself. "You don't. I don't think about you enough to hate you anymore." He looked like I'd slapped him. Then I walked away. And that was it. That night, I stood in the kitchen pouring a glass of whiskey, and I realized something. I had no more ghosts in the house. No shadows in the corners. No footsteps on the stairs that made my heart skip. Just me. Just peace. I sat on the porch, sipped slowly, and watched the sun go down. The phone stayed quiet. The air was still. And for the first time in years, I felt like myself again. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. Clean cut. No spousal support. No property division. No drawn-out courtroom drama. Jessica signed the papers without showing up in person. Her lawyer mailed them back with a short note. "My client wishes to move on and hopes you will do the same." I laughed when I read that. Not because it was funny, but because it was the first time she finally told the truth. She didn't want to move on. She just never expected me to beat her to it. I stood in front of the mirror that day, the same one I used to catch her looking into for hours. I wasn't the same man anymore. My face was sharper, a little leaner. Not because of the gym, because of the weight I dropped when I let her go. Not physical weight. Dead weight. I sold the house a few weeks later, packed everything into a storage unit, and rented a loft downtown. Smaller, cleaner, high windows, and no ghosts. The kind of place you could hear yourself think in. The kind of place where silence wasn't punishment, it was peace. I started running again. Early mornings, before the city woke up. The sound of my feet on pavement reminded me that I was still here, still moving. Not just surviving, rebuilding. People came and went. Friends asked questions. Some took sides. Some disappeared. That's life. I didn't chase anyone. I didn't explain anything. I didn't owe anyone a story. But if you're reading this, if you've made it this far, maybe you're someone like me. Maybe you've been lied to, betrayed, left standing in the wreckage of something you thought would last forever. So here's what I'll tell you. You won't see it coming. It'll hit you like a car with no headlights on a road you thought was safe. It'll knock the air out of you. You'll think you're dying. You're not. You're being reborn. The worst part isn't losing them. It's realizing you never really had them to begin with. That the version of them you loved only existed in your head. And the moment you accept that, you're free. Don't chase closure. Don't beg for explanations. They knew what they were doing. They just didn't think you'd ever walk away. But one day you will. You'll pack your things. You'll leave behind the photos, the broken promises, the ghost of who you used to be. And you'll take back your power. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Until one morning you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and see a man who didn't just survive betrayal. He conquered it. That man is me now. And maybe, soon, he'll be you too.